you stopped. And that's not nothing. And it's not an accident. Something in you already recognized this before your mind had a chance to second guess it. That's not random. That's your intuition doing exactly what it's built to do. And here's what I need you to hear right now. If you're watching this video, the shift has already happened. The turning point isn't coming. It's not around the corner. It's right now. While you're sitting here, while you're watching this, the change is already here, and you showing up today is part of it. Because here's what I'm seeing. Big changes are on their way to you. Your real purpose is finally ready to show itself. Financial stability, real recognition, and the kind of inner peace you've honestly been waiting for. All of it is moving in your direction. Here is what I want you to take seriously before we move on. The universe responds to movement, not grand gestures. Small, genuine acts of showing up. Like this video. Leave a comment. Hit subscribe. That is you saying, I am here. I am paying attention. I am not letting this pass me by. Let that be your first act of showing up for the chapter that is about to begin. Hey loves, welcome back. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Alice. So glad you're here today because honestly, this is a faded window, a real breakthrough moment. Stay with me all the way through. There's a lot here, and it's all for you. Card 1, the High Priestess. She doesn't call out, she doesn't chase you down. She just sits and waits for the people who are ready to see her. You found this reading. That matters. You could have kept scrolling. You could have closed the tab. But something in you paused, and that pause wasn't accidental. That was your intuition doing what it's always done, knowing what belongs to you before your brain even figures out why. And here's the thing. If you're watching this right now, the shift has already started. The High Priestess doesn't show up for people who are sleepwalking through their lives. She shows up for people who've started listening to that quieter voice, the one underneath the noise, the one that's been nudging you, sometimes gently, sometimes not so gently, towards something you can't quite name yet, but absolutely feel. That feeling brought you here, and that feeling doesn't lie. Here's what I want you to understand before we go any further. You didn't just wander in here. This is exactly the kind of moment the High Priestess points to directly. When your inner knowing and your outer life finally start moving in the same direction. That movement? It's already happening, right now. Trust what brought you here. It knew exactly what it was doing. Card 2, the Wheel of Fortune. This card doesn't arrive quietly. It arrives with weight, the kind that tells you something real is shifting underneath your feet. And here's exactly what it's showing me. The big changes aren't coming, they're already here. Not the kind you have to force or manufacture. The kind that have been building in the background while you were busy just getting through it. Your real purpose, the thing you've sensed but maybe never quite been able to grab hold of, is finally showing up in your actual life. Right now. You know that feeling of being close to something? Like standing just outside a room where everything makes sense, but the door hasn't opened yet? That door is open now. The waiting period isn't ending, it's already ended. The Wheel of Fortune doesn't turn for people who are just wishing. It turns for people who've been holding on through the seasons that tested them. The ones that were long and quiet and sometimes felt like nothing was moving at all. If that lands for you, I need you to hear this clearly. None of that time was wasted. Every single bit of it was preparation. And that preparation? It just paid off. Because here's what this card is telling you. Your purpose isn't something you have to go out and invent. It's been inside you the whole time. What's changing now is that the outside world is finally catching up to what you've been carrying inside. That catch-up is happening as you watch this. That shift isn't small. That's everything. And the wheel is very clear about one thing. This doesn't land in your lap while you sit still. It meets you in motion. Your next step doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be huge. It just needs to be genuine, and it needs to happen now. The waiting chapter is closed. The doing chapter has begun. Card 3, the Star. This card isn't a maybe. It's not a someday. It's a confirmation of what's already in motion. And I need you to hear this clearly. The tide has already turned. The breakthrough moment is right now. Not next week, not when things settle. Now. Financial stability is coming. Real recognition. The kind where the right people finally see what you actually bring. That's coming too. And the inner peace you've been chasing, or honestly, maybe stop letting yourself chase because it started to feel too far out of reach, that's part of this too. All of it is already moving. The star doesn't show up to give you false hope. It shows up when things that have been blocked or delayed are finally moving through. And right now, it's showing up for you. But here's the part that matters just as much as the good news. There's a condition attached to all of this, and it's not a complicated one. You have to trust your intuition enough to recognize these things when they arrive. Because financial stability, recognition, and peace don't always announce themselves with a trumpet. Sometimes they come in quietly, through an opportunity that feels slightly unfamiliar, through a conversation that opens a door you weren't expecting, through a moment your gut recognizes before your brain does. If you're not tuned in, you can walk right past what you've been waiting for. The star is asking you to stay open and stay honest with yourself. That inner voice that brought you to this reading, that same voice is going to be the thing that helps you recognize your breakthrough when it's standing right in front of you. Don't talk yourself out of what your intuition already knows is real. The things you've been hoping for aren't wishful thinking. They're on their way. Trust the part of you that already knows that, because it's been right about you all along. Card 4, the Emperor. This card carries authority, and it's pointing it directly at you. The breakthrough this whole reading has been building toward, the financial freedom, the love, the recognition, it's real. The Emperor isn't asking you to wait for it. He's asking you to act like it's already true, because it is. But he's very clear about what keeps it moving. And it's not patience. It's not just belief. It's action rooted in something solid. 2 things, specifically. First, help others. This isn't a soft suggestion. The Emperor knows that real power doesn't hoard itself. It builds. It contributes. It extends outward. The people who step into lasting success, lasting love, lasting recognition, they're almost always the ones who kept giving something while they were still waiting to receive. That's not a coincidence. That's how energy actually moves. You don't have to do something enormous. You don't have to turn your life inside out to be of service. Sometimes helping others looks like showing up in someone's comments and saying something real. Sometimes it looks like sharing something that genuinely helped you. Small? Yes. Meaningless? Absolutely not. The Emperor doesn't dismiss small, consistent, genuine actions. He's built on them. Second, stay grounded and own your power. This is the part people skip. They want the breakthrough, but they shrink right at the moment it arrives, because owning your power feels uncomfortable after a long season of making yourself smaller just to survive. The Emperor is asking you to stop doing that. Stand in what you know. Stand in what you've built. Don't apologize for it and don't downplay it. Because here's the truth this card is carrying. The breakthrough can't fully land if you're not standing somewhere solid enough to receive it. Grounded, clear, present. Owning the fact that you've earned this, through everything you've already walked through. The energy you put out right now isn't neutral. Every genuine action, every moment of real contribution, every time you choose to show up instead of pull back, it's registering. It's building the conditions for everything this reading has been describing. Help others. Own your power. Stand firm. That's the door. And you already have the key. Card 5. The Judgment card. This one stopped me. Because out of everything this reading could have pulled for this moment, it pulled the one card that describes exactly what's happening to you right now, underneath the surface, whether you've named it or not. You're in a cleansing process. Not metaphorically, not as a nice way of saying things are hard. A real physical and energetic clearing that's happening in your body, in your space, in the relationships and patterns and old stories that don't belong to where you're going anymore. You're being emptied out. Not as punishment, not as loss, as preparation. Judgment is the card of the before and after, the moment of crossing. And the crossing you're in right now isn't a small one. The old chapter, the one defined by survival, by scarcity, by making yourself smaller, by waiting for permission to fully show up in your own life. That chapter isn't just ending. It's being released at a level that goes deeper than a decision. Your system is letting it go. Physically, you might feel it. Fatigue that doesn't have an obvious reason. The urge to clean things out. Your space, your schedule, the relationships that have been draining more than they give. Strange emotional moments that come out of nowhere and pass just as fast. That's not something wrong with you. That's the shift happening. And here's what Judgment wants you to understand. You don't need to force this process. You don't need to manage it perfectly. You just need to let it happen without pulling the old stuff back in out of habit or fear. Because on the other side of this cleansing, and it's closer than it feels, what's coming in isn't a small upgrade. It's financial well-being, real, stable, lasting. Not a windfall that passes through, but a foundation that holds. It's recognition, finally being seen clearly by the people and circumstances that actually matter. And it's peace. The kind that doesn't depend on everything going right. The kind that lives inside you, no matter what's happening outside. That's what's waiting on the other side of what you're releasing right now. Judgment doesn't show up in easy seasons. It shows up at the threshold. When the old life is genuinely ending and the new one is genuinely ready to begin. And that's exactly where you're standing. Let the cleansing complete. Stop going back for things that are already finished, and walk forward into the chapter that's been waiting for you. It's already built. You just have to cross into it. Card 6. The World. This card doesn't arrive with hesitation. It arrives with an open door and an open hand, and it's asking you to walk through. The clock has already started. Everything this reading has been building toward is pointing here, to this, to a period of real expansion that isn't theoretical and isn't distant. It's now. And the world is telling you exactly how to meet it. Stay open to new things. That sounds simple. It's not always simple. Because when you've been through seasons that required you to be careful, to be guarded, to check everything before you trusted it, openness starts to feel dangerous. Your nervous system learned to treat anything unfamiliar like a threat. That wasn't weakness. That was survival. But that season is behind you, and the world is asking you to update your settings. The opportunities coming toward you right now may not look like what you expected. The connection that changes everything might come through a door you weren't even watching. The idea that finally clicks might come from somewhere completely outside your usual territory. If you're only looking in the directions you've always looked, you'll miss it. So explore, for real. Follow the thread of curiosity even when you can't immediately explain where it leads. Try the thing you've been circling around without committing to. Say yes to the invitation that feels slightly outside your comfort zone, but not outside your instincts. And connect with people. The world is deeply relational in this reading. This isn't a chapter you move through alone with your head down. The people who are meant to be part of this expansion, some of them are already nearby. Some of them are about to show up. But connection requires a certain kind of availability. Not performing, not networking in the hollow sense, real availability. The kind where you're actually present enough for someone to recognize you, and for you to recognize them. Because expansion isn't just about what you build, it's about who you build it with. It's about the conversations that crack something open, the collaborations that take what you've been doing quietly and give it room to breathe. The world doesn't ask you to have it all figured out before you begin. It asks you to move with curiosity instead of fear. To treat this period not as something to get through carefully, but as something to step into fully. This is your time of expansion. Not next year, not once things settle. Now. The door is open. Walk through it. Card 7, the Temperance card. This one landed quietly, which is exactly how it works, because Temperance isn't a loud card. It doesn't come in with urgency or big dramatic instructions. It arrives the way real peace arrives, steady, unhurried, carrying something that feels both simple and deep at the same time. And what Temperance is showing you is how to actually receive everything this reading has been pointing toward. Because here's what it's carrying for you right now. The peace you've been looking for, the real kind, the lasting kind, the kind that doesn't disappear the moment something goes wrong. It doesn't live outside of you. It never did. It lives in your heart, and it always has. That's not a platitude. That's a very specific redirection. Because when things have been hard for a long time, peace starts to feel like a destination. Something you'll reach once the finances stabilize, once the relationship shows up, once the recognition finally comes, once the circumstances line up in that particular way that lets you finally exhale. You start treating peace like a reward for surviving the hard part, instead of something that's available to you right now, in the middle of it. Temperance is asking you to stop doing that. Not because the outside circumstances don't matter. They do. But because the outside world takes its cues from the inside one more than we usually let ourselves believe. The stability you're looking for, it starts to organize itself around the stability you carry inside. The order you want to see in your life starts with the order you build in your heart. That's what it means to let it radiate outward. When you find real stillness inside yourself, not forced calm, not pretending everything's fine, but honest, grounded peace, that energy moves. It changes the quality of your presence. It changes what you attract, what you notice, what you're open to receiving. The people around you feel it. The opportunities already moving toward you have somewhere solid to land. Temperance is asking you to do something that takes real practice and real guts. Stop waiting for the outside world to give you permission to feel peace. Choose it now, in whatever small way is actually available to you today. A moment of quiet in the morning before everything starts. A breath you take on purpose before you respond to something that would normally throw you off. A choice to come back to yourself instead of handing your equilibrium over to whatever's happening around you. Start there. Start small. Start honest. Because the version of you who's found that inner stillness, who carries it quietly and lets it move through everything she does, that's the version of you the breakthrough is looking for. Real peace isn't what comes after the storm. It's what you build in your heart that makes you unshakable during it. That's what this card is asking you to build. And it's asking you to start now. 7 cards, 7 positions. And look at what they built together. The High Priestess said, "Your intuition brought you here, and it was right." The Wheel said, "The purpose you've been sensing is finally ready to show up for real." The Star said, "Financial stability, recognition, and peace aren't wishful thinking. They're already on their way." The Emperor said, "Help others and own your power. The breakthrough needs both." Judgment said, "The cleansing is real. The old chapter is releasing, and what's coming in is financial well-being, recognition, and peace." The World said, "Stay open, explore, expand. The door is already open, and it's asking you to walk through." And Temperance closed this reading exactly right. Find the stillness inside yourself first, and let it move everything around you. That's not a collection of themes. That's one coherent story, and it's yours. And here's what I want you to hold on to as you leave this reading. If you watch this video, the shift has already happened. The turning point isn't something you're moving toward. It's not waiting for you somewhere down the road. It happened right here, right now, while you were sitting with these cards. You're not on your way to the breakthrough. You're already in it. The through line running through every single card in this reading is this: trust yourself and take action. Not someday, not once everything lines up perfectly. Now, with what you have, from where you're standing. Because the good you put out, in whatever form it takes, is never wasted. It's never too small. A kind word, a genuine comment, a like, a subscription, these aren't small gestures. They're real energy moving in a real direction. And this reading has shown you again and again that energy comes back. What you send out returns. What you invest in yourself, in others, in showing up with integrity, it registers every single time. So trust what you felt in this reading. Trust the part of you that stopped scrolling and stayed. That wasn't an accident. That was you already knowing. Now take one action. It doesn't have to be enormous. It just has to be genuine. Drop a comment below and tell me which card hit hardest. Because saying it out loud makes it real in a way that staying quiet just doesn't. Like this video. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Let that be your first act of co-creation in this new chapter. The breakthrough isn't coming. It's already here. And you, trusting yourself, doing good, showing up, you're the one building it. So glad you were here today. Sending you so much love. See you in the next one.